Good morning, everyone.
Sir, hey, Dr. Parth J. Shah. Okay, Dr.
Often we say we became free as people, right? On the 15th August. So what's the difference between becoming independent and becoming free? Are they same or are they different? I thought India had a very unique opportunity to do something very radical, to both grow economically, but also build the kind of community that we want to build, which will take care of his own people. I actually grew up mostly in a boarding school. It made me a lot more independent, gave me a lot more self-confidence, navigating the world in my own ways. Quite a few of the politicians in India of the time looked up to Soviet Union as a model. So we also had a 5-year plans in India. Everything requires permissions, licenses, and long queues.
When he was studying in India, he was studying pharmacy. And there he started reading Ayn Rand.
That led to thinking about getting into philosophy at the time. And in India, it wasn't possible to sort of switch from pharmacy to philosophy or to anything else. When I switched over from pharmacy to economics, finally in the US, my parents were aghast. When I graduated, one of the things I wanted to do was to come back to India and start a think tank. And I really liked the idea that you can combine activism with academic rigor. Came across Atlas Economic Research Foundation, which is now known as Atlas Network. They were doing great training programs for think tank entrepreneurs. I had a great fortune of learning from Larry Reid, who was head of the Mackinac Center, Joe Overton, David Bose at Cato Institute, some of the best people in the US think tank community. I got my first job at Michigan. The life of a professor in the US is just fabulous. And that actually led me to keep delaying coming back to India.
The story that took him back to India, I only learned recently. I never knew that story.
He was not well.
Then he had to go for open heart surgery.
I sort of had a heart problem, which is a mitral valve prolapse. Night before the surgery, I asked myself, if something did go wrong, what is one thing that I would regret the most? And I think the answer was very clear, that I really wanted to come back to India and start a think tank.
He moved to India to set up a Center for Civil Society on 15th of August 1997. That is the 50th year of India's independence.
He was the lone voice talking about ideas which weren't talked about much in India.
CCS at that time was a living room in Parth's home.
We chose the name Center for Civil Society with the idea that civil society is more than a market. It's also the larger voluntary community.
One of the larger projects organized by CCS was Liberty Society Seminar. And the idea was to engage youth, to help them to understand what do you mean by market reforms.
It's a great group of people who came through those early seminars in the first couple of years, including, of course, my own wife. And that's how we first met. And then she came to volunteer at the center.
Parth Shah believes passionately in creating livelihoods. And India's bazaars are colorful, noisy, and exotic because of street vendors. And so, Center for Civil Society fought on their behalf.
This place is called Sarojini Nagar Market. We are in South Delhi. It's really wonderful to see how much things have changed compared to when I first came here 20 years ago. My wife and I were shopping here, and we saw a police van coming in, and suddenly you saw all the hawkers grabbing their things and running away. And that's where we became curious, why is this happening? Why are the hawkers running? And we realized that this is everyday phenomenon. And so we said, if we can start and help them, that's where everybody can rise from.
He sincerely wants to do something to help poor people, and he relates to how one can do it with the least possible expenditure and how to do it effectively.
There are two ways to think about livelihood. One is what people are doing today. Now, how can you help them do better? And second, of course, preparing them to earn a better livelihood in the future, which is the education system.
Center for Civil Society advocated for school choice. So now 25% of the seats in a private school are reserved for the poor.
sort of voucher program in some sense, and maybe now one of the largest voucher program in the world.
The affordable private schools like us exist only because there are places where the big elite schools would never come in. Had it not been for CCS, we would have not come together to provide choice for the low-income families.
I could not have imagined what I see today around me as even a possibility of what could India become. I'm just very grateful for the people who have affection for me, who have worked with me, who sort of shared the dream with me.
धन्यवाद पार्थ मेरा गुरु बनने के लिए.
Thank you, Parth sir, for protecting so many livelihoods.
Thank you, Dr. Parth, for giving so many children across India the freedom to choose the school of their choice.
For building a movement that stands for liberty across the nation.
For helping break the barrier of the license Raj, which has transformed our country.
For your unyielding commitment to human dignity in India
And beyond.
And I want to really, really thank you, Parth, for giving purpose to my life. And I know many more people like me.
Thank you, Parth.
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 Dhanyavad Parth ji.
Thank you, Parth.
Thank you, Parth, for inspiring me and the billion people to call India home.